It's that raw moment of truth that slams into you before the day even begins. No cavalry is coming, no outstretched hand to pull you up. I've watched countless people shatter under this realization, wasting years hoping for someone else to step in. But today, you step into a different reality, one where you learn to depend on yourself without ever letting go of hope. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to stand taller and dig deeper, so that no circumstance, no setback can rob you of the future that's already yours to claim. The truth is stark. Nobody's coming to save you. That's not a condemnation, it's a challenge. It says, are you willing to stand up for yourself when the world grows quiet? Most people cling to the faint idea that someone will step in at the last minute. They hold out for a rescue that never comes. But not you. You're going to confront reality and shift the tide in your favor. Realize this. Self-reliance isn't about isolation or cutting ties with everyone. It's about recognizing that you are the primary architect of your own survival. Your worth, your success, your future. These things rest on your shoulders. That might feel heavy, but it also sets you free. Because the moment you accept that nobody else owes you your dreams, you stop waiting and start creating. When you learn to depend on yourself, you stop looking over your shoulder for permission. You no longer wait for an external push to get moving. You tap into an inner resource, a potent well of resolve that's been there all along, waiting for you to trust it. Most people never taste that level of independence because they fear its demands, but you are ready to meet those demands head on. Hope doesn't die when you become self-reliant. In fact, it finds deeper roots, because now your hope isn't some fragile wish that someone else will catch you before you fall. Your hope is grounded in the reality that you can stand, even when everything around you crumbles. That is true hope. Hope built on a foundation of discipline, strength, and the knowledge that you are capable of enduring more than you've ever imagined. Have you ever asked yourself why some people keep going when life hits them hard? Why do they bounce back stronger, while others remain stuck? I've seen it firsthand. The survivors are the ones who rely on their own grit. They don't wait to be discovered or saved. They discover something powerful inside themselves, an iron will that can outlast any storm. And that's exactly what you're training to do here. This isn't about turning into a lone wolf who rejects human connection. It's about realizing that every helping hand is a bonus, not a guarantee. You have to be the primary driver of your progress. Yes, people can offer support, but they won't always be there. And even if they are, their help is limited. Only you can carry your vision in your mind every waking hour. Only you can keep the flame lit. Think of it this way. If you rely on someone else's oxygen to breathe, what happens when they walk away? You suffocate. But if you learn to gather air from your own lungs, from your own unstoppable spirit, no one can deprive you of what keeps you alive. Independence is oxygen for your ambition. You train yourself to thrive in environments where others might choke. You become adaptable, resourceful, unstoppable. Too many people place their hope in external factors. They say, when the economy turns around, or when the right mentor appears, or when someone finally believes in me. But you can't shape your life around the timing of outside events. Hope tethered to externalities is fragile. Break that tether. Anchor your hope in the certainty of your own resilience, because you, not the market or a mentor, are the force that drives your future. Make no mistake, depending on yourself requires discipline at a level that can feel daunting. You have to hold yourself accountable. There's no one else to blame when things go wrong, but that accountability is also the key to your liberation. Once you see that your success or failure hinges on your actions, you stop spending energy looking for scapegoats. Instead, you channel every ounce of focus into growth. Remember, you are not alone in this world, but you are the only one who can decide how you respond to it. You can't control every circumstance. You can't make life fair, but you can control your attitude, your work ethic, and your willingness to persevere. That's why self-reliance doesn't kill hope. It purifies it. It strips away illusions and leaves you with the raw truth that you have more control than you realize. There's a point in every journey where you realize you're either going to stand up for yourself or watch your ambitions wither. It might be a quiet moment late at night when doubt creeps in, or it might be a public moment, a challenge that forces you to confront your capabilities in front of everyone. Embrace these moments. They are catalysts that reveal your hidden strengths. They show you what you're really made of. Too often, people mistake self-reliance for cynicism. They think if you don't wait for help, it means you've lost faith in humanity. That's not true. Trust in others can be a beautiful thing, but trust in yourself is essential for survival. If you have both, you're an unstoppable force. But if you only have trust in others, you'll always be vulnerable to disappointment and betrayal. True hope must be grounded in personal conviction. When obstacles rise and no one is around to lend a hand, how do you react? Do you slump over, cursing the universe for not delivering a savior? Or do you grit your teeth and push through, determined to make a path for yourself? That choice defines the trajectory of your life. It's not about being fearless. Fear will always be there. It's about choosing courage every single day, especially on days when no one else is cheering. Listen carefully. The greatest breakthroughs often come after you've been stripped of external support. When there's no net beneath you, you either fall or you learn to fly. And it's in that desperate moment that you discover new methods, new strengths, new reasons to keep pushing. This is why adversity can be your greatest teacher. It forces you to tap into resources you never knew you had. The result is a self-made resilience that nobody can take away. Here's a personal truth. I've observed countless times how people transform when they accept the reality that nobody's coming to save them. They stand taller, speak firmer, and move with an urgency that was missing before. Because once you rely on yourself, you become the captain of your destiny. You stop drifting in the tide of other people's agendas. You steer your own ship, chart your own course, and face the storms head on. You might ask, but what about the pain of going it alone? Pain is inevitable in any growth journey. The difference is, when you depend on yourself, that pain has purpose. It becomes a refining fire, burning away the weaknesses that keep you from fulfilling your potential. You learn to endure not just for the sake of surviving, but for the sake of thriving. Pain, in this sense, is the price of evolution, not the toll of isolation. What does hope look like when you're standing on your own 2 feet? It looks like a steady determination in your eyes, not a frantic glance for a rescuer. It's a heartbeat that says, I will endure, rather than, I hope someone notices me. And in that shift, you gain an inner peace because you realize you're prepared for the unknown. You're not waiting for external solutions. You're forging them with your own hands. Nobody's coming to take on your responsibilities, your fears, or your battles. And that's the best news you'll get today, because it means you don't have to wait on anyone to start living with purpose. Take that truth and turn it into jet fuel. Launch yourself beyond the reach of mediocrity. Let it remind you that you're stronger than the excuses you've been telling yourself. Let it be the catalyst for the greatness you've been holding back. The difference between those who rise and those who fade often lies in how they react when the rug is pulled out from beneath them. One person curses fate and waits for a hero. The other becomes their own hero. They improvise, adapt, overcome, because the idea of giving up never crosses their mind. If you choose to be that second person, you'll see that obstacles lose their power once you commit to pushing through no matter what. The world isn't out to get you, but it's also not out to carry you. It spins along, indifferent to your wishes. That might seem harsh, but it's liberating too. Because if life isn't going to arrange itself to your favor, automatically you're free to shape your corner of it as you see fit. That shaping starts from within, from the decision to take full ownership of your path. Of course, it's easier to depend on someone else. It's easier to drift, to hope a magical answer appears at the last second. But easy has never been the hallmark of greatness. Easy is the path of stagnation, of wondering what if for the rest of your days. Those who rely on themselves know that difficulty is not a dead end. It's a gateway to mastery, because the harder the climb, the stronger you get. Stand in front of a mirror and ask yourself, am I willing to carry my dream alone if I must? If your answer is yes, fully, unequivocally yes, then you've just unlocked a new level of power. You've proven to yourself that your commitment isn't conditional on external support. You've made a statement that you believe in your vision enough to go the distance on your own 2 feet. And that kind of self-trust is contagious. It influences every aspect of your life. There will be nights when the weight feels too heavy, You'll wonder if you made the right choice, if self-reliance is just a romantic myth. On those nights, remember your why. Why did you start this journey? Why does it matter so much to you to stand on your own? Because the reasons that drove you to break free of dependency in the first place will be the reasons that push you to endure. Life respects a person who won't bow to uncertainty. It's as if the challenges sense your tenacity and yield to it eventually. They may bruise you, but they can't break you. Not if you've decided that your hope will never be tied to someone else's whims. This unwavering stance might look lonely to some, but it's where real connection begins. Connection to your deepest potential, your unshakable spirit, and your boundless capacity to rise. Let's talk about the intersection of hope and action. Hope without action is a fragile dream that dissolves at the first sign of adversity. Action without hope can turn into a joyless grind. But when you combine self-reliant action with a persistent, unwavering hope in yourself, you get a potent cocktail that can move mountains. You're not merely wishing things will work out, you're actively making them work out. Some people say, I'm strong enough, but the moment life tests them, they flinch. The question is, will you flinch or will you forge ahead? Depending on yourself doesn't mean you never flinch, but it means you refuse to be paralyzed by that initial jolt of fear. You absorb the shock, and then you pivot, using it to fuel your determination. That's the difference between a shallow claim and a genuine belief in your resilience. I've seen individuals transform their entire existence by taking that single step, deciding they're fully responsible for their destiny. They stop waiting for mentors to appear, for family to understand, or for society to grant them a green light. They act as though success is already within them, ready to be unleashed by their own two hands. And you know what? Life bends to meet that kind of will. Make this personal. Imagine a moment when you're in crisis and you look around only to find empty space. No one to cushion the blow, no one to pick up the pieces. In that moment, you face a choice: collapse or rise. If you've practiced self-reliance, you'll rise because you've rehearsed that scenario in your mind 100 times. You're not blindsided by the fact that nobody's coming to save you. You've trained for it mentally and physically. Don't let bitterness poison your progress. Depending on yourself isn't about being angry at the world. It's about taking rational responsibility for your own outcomes. The moment you blame others for your position, you relinquish the power to change it. Let go of bitterness. Let go of victimhood. Embrace the pure, unfiltered truth that your life is your own to shape, sculpt, and set aflame with purpose. There is a certain peace that comes when you realize you can handle whatever lands in your path. Even if you stumble, you know how to get back up. Even if you fail, you understand it's just another chapter in a longer story, one that you're writing word by word. You don't have to wait for approval or sympathy. All you need is a steadfast resolve to continue. That's the quiet confidence that blossoms from self-reliance. This doesn't mean you never accept help. It means that when help appears, it's a bonus, not a necessity. You're grateful for allies, but you don't count on them to carry you through. Your hope remains intact, not because someone else lifts you, but because you know you can lift yourself. That perspective frees you from desperation. You no longer cling to people or opportunities out of fear. Instead, you engage with them from a place of strength. Take a moment to acknowledge the risk in this approach. Self-reliance isn't guaranteed to be smooth or painless. You will face setbacks, heartbreaks, and moments of crushing doubt. But every time you push through, you add another layer of armor to your spirit. You become harder to defeat, harder to discourage, and far more dangerous to any obstacle in your path. With every victory you carve out, you reinforce that you truly don't need saving. Reflect on your journey so far. How many times have you given your power away by waiting for someone else to show up? How many dreams have you postponed, hoping the right time or the right people would appear? End that waiting game now. Decide that if this dream is going to materialize, it'll be because you bled for it, fought for it, and refused to quit, even when the shadows loomed large. Discipline becomes your best friend on this road. Motivation flickers. People's encouragement comes and goes. But discipline is unwavering, an ever-present force in your life. It keeps you on track when the high of inspiration wears off. It reminds you that nobody else is going to sweat the details of your life for you. That's your job, and it's a job you embrace because you've decided to be your own guardian, your own savior. Sometimes people who depend on themselves are labeled aloof or prideful. Ignore that chatter. True self-reliance doesn't come from ego. It's born out of necessity, out of the knowledge that you either pick yourself up or remain on the ground. And if standing on your own 2 feet is deemed arrogant by some, that's a reflection of their insecurities, not your confidence. You don't need their approval. You need your own resolve. Let's clarify something. Self-reliance doesn't mean you never collaborate or share. It means that your baseline is strength. When you join forces with others, it's from a place of power, not dependency. You bring value to the table because you've cultivated it within. You don't beg for scraps of validation. You offer your skill, vision, and unbreakable spirit, making the partnership stronger. And if that partnership ends, you remain whole. When you lean on yourself, you open doors to creativity and innovation. Freed from the chains of waiting for external approval, you experiment boldly. You take risks that a dependent mindset would avoid. Sure, you might fail more often at first, but each failure is a lesson that propels you forward, forging a sharper, more adaptive version of you. Dependence, on the other hand, often stagnates in fear of rejection or disapproval. There's a certain solace in knowing that your hope stems from within. You become the gatekeeper of your optimism, your determination, and your willingness to push forward. External storms may howl, but your inner world remains anchored. It's an internal fortress built on the rock of self-belief, not on the shifting sands of external validation. And that fortress will remain standing even when the world outside shakes. Learn to breathe in adversity. When challenges come, and they will, remind yourself that you have the strength to handle them. Maybe you don't see the solution right away, but your conviction in your own resourcefulness is half the battle. Embrace the puzzle. Attack the problem from different angles. Do whatever it takes because you know in the end nobody else will figure it out for you. You are the solution you've been waiting for. At some point, people might question your calm under pressure. They might say, "Why aren't you panicking?" The answer is simple. Panic accomplishes nothing. Action does. And when you're used to depending on yourself, you've built the mental muscles to act instead of freeze. Instead of praying for a lifeboat, you start building one out of whatever resources you can find. Your composure in chaos becomes your signature. Understand this. Self-reliance is an art. It takes time to master, and you'll never reach a point of flawless perfection. But each day, you refine it. Each struggle reveals an area where you can grow stronger, more decisive, more capable. You learn to read situations with clear eyes, unclouded by the hope that someone else will bail you out. That clarity is priceless. It guides you to make wise decisions that align with your highest potential. If doubt tries to creep in, remember the times you overcame challenges alone. Reflect on the moments when you had no choice but to act, and you rose to the occasion. Those memories are evidence. They're proof that you're already equipped to tackle adversity, that your potential is vast. Let them serve as a counterweight to any negative voices, both in your head and around you. Depending on yourself also sharpens your sense of gratitude, because you appreciate every bit of help or kindness without expecting it as your right. When someone offers genuine assistance, you welcome it, but you don't collapse into it. You remain upright, stable, thankful, and aware that your journey continues regardless. This balanced mindset ensures you never lose sight of your own agency. People might ask, aren't you afraid of walking alone? Here's your answer. I'd rather walk alone with conviction than stand still, hoping someone else will move me. Fear is real, but so is the reward of conquering it. And the only way to conquer fear is through action. Action that springs from the knowledge that you are enough and that your perseverance is stronger than any passing terror. Listen to the stories of those who built empires, scaled unthinkable heights, or changed the world. Behind every triumph is a period of solitude, of uncertain steps taken with no guaranteed applause. They were alone with their dreams before the world noticed. They bore the brunt of their struggles without rescue. And in that solitude, they discovered a power that only blossoms in the absence of a safety net. You might never build an empire in a literal sense, but you can build one metaphorically, an empire of self-mastery, resilience, and unwavering hope, an empire where the walls are fortified by your commitment, and the gates are guarded by your willingness to fight for what you believe in. That empire won't crumble at the first sign of adversity, because its foundation isn't external approval. It's your own unbreakable will. This journey is not a sprint. It's a marathon that tests your endurance. There will be times you crave immediate results, and the world offers none. But each step you take in self-reliance adds another mile to your capacity. You might not see the finish line yet, but you're getting stronger with every stride. Keep going, keep trusting your legs, your heart, your lungs, because they are yours to command. Some will scoff at your determination. They may label it foolish or extreme. Let them. Their judgments are rooted in the fear of stepping outside the herd. They cling to the myth of a grand savior, and your independence exposes that myth for what it is, a comforting lie. Don't let their discomfort become your chain. Break free, push forward, and let your life be a testament to what happens when hope is self-generated. When you walk into a room with the aura of self-reliance, people notice. It's not arrogance. They can sense that you're not there to beg or impress. You're there to contribute, to create, to stand on your own. That energy shifts conversations. It commands a different kind of respect, because at some primal level, we all admire the individual who can stand alone without bitterness or pretension. Cherish the moments when you face obstacles that seem insurmountable. In those instances, you get to test the depth of your resolve. If you succeed, you gain confidence in your abilities. If you fail, you gain priceless lessons and the muscle to try again. Either way, you move forward with more knowledge, more grit, more real-world evidence that you don't need saving. You need perseverance. Notice the small details of your progress. Did you wake up early to study, train, or hustle? Did you resist the urge to quit when the night stretched long? Did you stand your ground when someone tried to belittle your dreams? Each action, each choice, is a piece of the puzzle that forms your identity. The more self-reliant pieces you assemble, the clearer the picture becomes of who you truly are. A fighter, a builder, a visionary who doesn't wait. When the nights get dark and doubts circle like vultures, remind yourself of your purpose. You chose self-reliance because you understand the power of personal sovereignty. You know that if you cave now, you'll revert to a state of helplessness. And that's not an option, because once you've tasted the freedom of standing tall without leaning on anyone else, you can't go back. You hunger for that clarity, that sense of ownership, that unstoppable feeling of forging your own path. It's easy to mistake solitude for loneliness, but they are not the same. Loneliness is a longing for connection you can't find. Solitude is a deliberate stance of strength, a place to realign with your own truth. In solitude, you hear your authentic voice without the clutter of external chatter. You gather your resources. You strategize, reflect, and prepare. When you emerge from that solitude, you're more potent than ever. Keep your hope alive by reminding yourself of what you've already overcome. Replay the mental tapes of triumphs, big and small. Each one confirms that you don't need a savior because you've saved yourself time and time again. That momentum builds like a rolling thunder, making you unstoppable. The world may throw new challenges your way, but your track record speaks for itself. You endure, adapt, and rise. Don't confuse self-reliance with never needing emotional support. You're human, and emotions are part of the package. The key is not to let emotional support become your crutch. You can receive it, appreciate it, but understand it's supplementary, not primary. The core of your emotional strength must be cultivated by you through self-talk, self-belief, and self-compassion, because external comfort can vanish, but your inner voice remains. If you find yourself tempted to wait for someone to notice your struggle, pause and check your mindset. Is that truly how you want to navigate life, waiting for others to validate your needs? Or do you want to step forward, raise your hand, and claim what's yours? Think about how much time is wasted in silent longing, hoping someone else will take the reins. That time could be better spent taking action. Stand up, straighten your spine, look at your reflection, and state clearly, I am capable of creating my own destiny. It's not a cheesy affirmation. It's a contract with yourself. You're declaring to every cell in your body that you will no longer rely on the uncertain kindness of strangers to fulfill your dreams. This vow is where your journey crystallizes. You sign it with discipline, perseverance, and unshakable hope. Remember, hope is not naive. Real hope isn't a fragile thing easily shattered by hardships. Real hope is your sword and shield, forged in the fires of repeated trials. It doesn't break under pressure because it's grounded in a tangible truth. Your demonstrated ability to keep going. The more you rely on yourself, the stronger that hope becomes, because you have real evidence that you can handle more than you ever gave yourself credit for. The horizon you're marching toward is both exhilarating and daunting. Nobody can chart that path for you. But that's the whole point. It's your path. Carve it out of the wilderness with the machete of your will. Every thorn, every root that trips you, every gust of wind that tries to push you back, they're just parts of the terrain. They don't define your journey. Your response does. Let each day be a drill. Train yourself to think, what can I do right now to move forward? That question cuts through excuses. It orients you toward solutions, and solutions are the language of self-reliance. You don't dwell on the problem waiting for the cavalry. You pick up your tools, your mind, your hands, your determination, and you get to work. Before you know it, progress appears where despair once loomed. People might say, you're too intense. Let them. Intensity is what it takes to break through the inertia of complacency. Too many dreams die in half-hearted attempts. If you must be labeled intense for giving everything you have, so be it. Let that label remind you that you refuse to live in the lukewarm waters of mediocrity. You're forging ahead in a blaze of purposeful energy, unstoppable by design. Don't shy away from the dark corners of your mind. Explore them, because that's where your deepest fears hide, whispering that you're not good enough to stand alone. Shine a light on those shadows. Understand them, challenge them, and dismantle them. Every time you confront a fear, you rob it of power. And with each victory over fear, your capacity for self-reliance grows. There's a poetic tension in this journey, knowing you're on your own while still carrying a quiet confidence that you can handle what comes. That tension propels you to new heights. It's the contrast between vulnerability and fortitude that shapes a formidable character. You're not made of stone. You feel pain, doubt, and sorrow, but you process those emotions without letting them halt your steps. You keep going because you know this road leads somewhere extraordinary. Each sunrise is a new battle cry. The world is indifferent, but your determination is loud. Nobody hands you a victory, but you reach out and seize it. This is the daily grind that molds you. One day, you'll look back and marvel at how far you've come. Not because someone paved the road for you, but because you tread the rough ground alone and found the path under your feet. If you ever feel isolated, remember that self-reliance is a choice, not a punishment. It's a privilege to be the master of your own life. You decide your standards, your goals, your pace. You answer to your conscience, not to someone else's agenda. That freedom can be intimidating, but it's also the most empowering gift you can give yourself. Embrace the weight of it. Let it remind you that you are alive, fully engaged in your own fate. Criticism will come. People will question your methods, doubt your resolve, or accuse you of pushing too hard. Use that criticism as a mirror. Examine your approach. If there's truth in their words, refine your strategy. If there's none, let it bounce off your armor of self-belief. Either way, you keep moving, because nobody else holds the pen to your story, and you're not about to hand it over. Start valuing your word as law. When you say you'll do something, do it. When you set a goal, pursue it with everything you have. This consistent follow-through builds an internal trust. You learn that when you rely on yourself, you deliver. That knowledge is priceless. It transforms your doubts into actions and your actions into achievements. It's how you become someone who needs no external push to chase excellence. The hardest part is often the realization that you've been underestimating yourself. You might think you need someone else's wisdom or resources to succeed. Yet, countless game changers in history started with almost nothing but their drive. They learned, adapted, and persevered, and so can you. The moment you accept that you have enough inside you to begin, you unlock a level of potential that external resources can never match. Let each failure tighten your grip on hope. Paradoxical? Maybe. But every time you fail, you learn that you can survive the fall. You learn that you don't crumble into dust at the first sign of adversity. Instead, you're still here, still fighting. Failure, therefore, becomes another testament to your resilience, a stepping stone, not a grave. And that keeps your hope alive, fierce, realistic, and unbreakable. Your environment might try to contradict you. Maybe you're surrounded by people who gave up on their dreams, who find solace in blaming the system, their past, or each other. Don't let their resignation corrupt your mindset. You're on a different mission. You are building a life based on the principle that you hold the reins. Let their doubt feed your fire. Let it remind you that you refuse to live in quiet defeat. Sometimes solitude can be a sanctuary rather than a burden. In those quiet moments, you hear your innermost voice. You refine your purpose. You realize that you don't actually crave rescue. You crave the profound satisfaction of overcoming challenges by your own merit. That satisfaction is the birthright of anyone who dares to lean on themselves. Cherish it. Let it be the fuel that keeps you marching forward when everything else falls silent. A day will come when people turn their heads and ask, "How did you get so strong?" They won't see the lonely nights or the internal battles. They'll only see the final product, a self-reliant individual who radiates an unshakable presence. It's at that moment you'll know your efforts were never in vain, and you'll smile because you learned to depend on yourself, and in doing so, you discovered that hope never truly dies. It just evolves into unwavering certainty. Keep your momentum going. Even small steps accumulate into massive change over time. Don't be discouraged by the pace. You're not racing anyone. You're honing your own discipline. Each day you push a little harder, expand your comfort zone a little further. That consistent effort compounds, forging an unassailable fortress of skill and mindset. Step by step, you distance yourself from who you used to be and inch closer to the unstoppable force you're becoming. Picture the life you want. See it clearly. The achievements, the relationships, the impact, the calm certainty in your own power. Then bring that vision back to the present moment. Ask yourself, what action can I take right now that aligns me with that future? That's how you bridge the gap, through daily, relentless alignment with your dreams. Nobody else can do it for you, and that's the beauty of it. Don't shy away from emotional honesty. If the struggle is hard, admit it. But admitting it doesn't mean giving up. You can acknowledge pain while still forging ahead. You can feel frustration while refusing to succumb to it. This emotional integrity makes you real, grounded, and relatable. But it doesn't weaken you. It humanizes you. And a self-reliant human is still unstoppable because they understand the full range of their emotions without letting them dictate their destiny. When you put your head on the pillow at night, you should feel that hum of satisfaction, not because you had it easy, but because you faced what you needed to face. You did what you said you would do. You didn't wait for some miraculous intervention. You guided your own journey, fueled by a hope that can't be extinguished by the absence of outside help. That's what it means to truly live. There's a warrior inside you, a champion who doesn't require saving. But champions also know how to maintain hope, even when the scoreboard looks grim, because they trust their ability to turn the tide through sweat, strategy, and sheer will. They don't fold their arms and wait for reinforcements. They become the reinforcements. If you adopt that mentality, no situation can trap you for long. You might be cornered, but you're never defeated. Remind yourself daily, your independence is your greatest asset. It's the treasure you guard fiercely, because once you have it, nobody can steal it unless you willingly hand it over. And you won't. Not after feeling its power, not after experiencing the heightened sense of purpose, the expansive hope that emerges when you stand on your own. This is your moment to claim that independence fully and irrevocably. Enough talk. Now is the time to act. Take this unshakable truth that nobody's coming to save you and wear it like armor. Let it motivate you to rise before the sun, to hustle when it's lonely, to keep hope alive even when shadows close in. This is not the end of your story, it's the true beginning. Every hurdle you face from this point forward is an invitation to prove that you can and will fight for yourself. No more waiting, no more hoping for rescue. You are your own savior. Now go out there and prove it. And if you're ready to keep fueling that fire, hit subscribe, because this journey is far from over.